stochastic fiction game. This is a timed writing game, which will start the timer by me pressing this button, and will count down from 1 hour, 31 minutes. At the end of that 1 hour and 31 minutes, I'm going to create a story and read that story at the end. In order to know what parameters I need to be able to write to, I'm going to create a stochastic fiction outline. And there is that stochastic fiction outline. And within the stochastic fiction outline of the stochastic fiction game are the story elements for me to write within as I put whatever random thoughts I have going on in my mind while creating the story, both in the words that I'll speak, but also the words that I'll write, to be able to find and define these in order to write to this prompt. At the end of this time, I will read it aloud and I will rate it 1 to 4. I may make this 1 to 5 someday, but right now we just have a 1 to 4 score of its poop. People that either you may enjoy the stink, a rewrite of it may rid it of the stench, editing it may help it smell like perfume. What I will be rating will be a story that will be based upon these story elements: setting time present, setting main location town, conflict person versus self, quantity of primary characters 2, point of view first, tense past tense, genre crime, format novel first chapter. Okay. Well, that's yeah. So present time past tense, in a town, person versus self, characters 2, first person point of view, past tense, crime as the genre. Format novel first chapter. Well, I mean, you always, if you do crime, like doing a white collar crime is a little bit boring. I'm an accountant. I've stole some money I've laundered. Unless you're laundering for the drug cartel, and that's a cool crime story. But that's been done, and I've never done laundering money for a cartel. And though I have some vague understanding of how to launder money, I don't know if I could write a novel on it, or would want to, for that matter. Main location in a town, person versus self, and crime. Maybe they know they're going to get away with it. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is the crime novel where they got to struggle with their own inner demons. Maybe the other person could be like a friend or a partner. Novel first chapter would be the theft. And they don't get caught, and they have a lot of money. And they get away with it. They truly do. Maybe there would be like a time jump. Or one finds God and wants to repent for all their own sins and wants to confess to the crime because they feel guilty for getting away with it. That's not bad. It's in a small town. Maybe they'll think they'll get forgiven. Well, if it's in a town, the main location's in a town, I would imagine they'd have to leave town. Or maybe they go rob a bank in a city, they come back to town, and they live in that town. And the conflict is with the primary person who wants to confess. That's not a bad idea for a book. If I were to have a blurb on the back, maybe I could write a blurb on the back. Blurb. And we'll go chapter 1. I'm kind of thankful it is chapter 1, then, for I don't have to conceive of an entire novel. I mean, I have, but I don't have to, like, close all the plot points that don't exist right now, or the primary major one. Of course, last chapter is usually like the summary chapter. It's the penultimate chapter, the second to last chapter. That's usually like you want to solve everything, to put it in a bow tie, and especially you're going to want some sort of final third chapter or a epilogue. Prologue is first, epilogue is at the end. I can't remember, but if it is, you gotta have one of those or a penultimate chapter with the final chapter to put a bow on things. And I don't want to write the bow. I don't want to write the end, but I have a concept of the end or what the book would be about. I don't know how it would end, to be honest. But I want to write it, I mean, it's in first person. We planned on robbing the bank for a month. And so I think this person's feeling guilty for getting away with it and has issues with getting away with it. Isn't there that Crime and Punishment? That the whole... Yeah, no, I never read the entire Crime and Punishment book. I'm well aware of what it was about. I read about half the translated brothers Karamazov. Was what Dostoevsky? I think that would be sort of, this would be that, but like a bank robbery. The realization that no one knows, no one cares, and you're making your own personal jail. I don't know. I've only read interpretations of it, overviews, outlines, stuff like that. I think I was more in reading into Kurt Vonnegut at the time, to be honest, because it was, well, as dense, less wordy. And let's go ahead and write chapter 1. I got to write the blurb too. Let me get back and focus and make sure the story parameters will fit. I got to do past tense as far as the tense in writing, but it's present day. The main location is a town, and that's where they're at right now. The person versus self, this is whether I want to be able to turn myself in, and if I turn myself in, much likely my friend will get caught too. Because there were two people. I want to turn myself in. After the robbery. It's like, what would the blurb on the back be without giving it away? Let's go ahead and just write the chapter, and then I think I'll be able to set it up because it's just first person. The town will be small. Maybe it's, I've been to small towns. I grew up in a small town, I guess, as well, but it was near bigger cities. It just was separated by the fact that you couldn't commute anywhere else out of the valley. But I also stayed summers with grandparents who lived in small towns, farm towns, ranch farms, not, like a cattle farm. Well, it was a cattle farm, not like a agricultural, we'll just say like a grain farm, grown onions. I guess those are my two distinct farm experiences. One's ranch, and other your traditional farm. I've certainly lived near small towns with the only connection Zion National Park, and I worked there. So I can easily fictionalize a small town. I've spent summers, at least one summer, and then many summers visiting grandparents around Kanab, which is small, which would be the town that I would imagine them coming back to because it's so detached. Maybe I could put this into a place I know. Let's go Salt Lake City. That's a city. And, honestly, if I were going to go rob a bank, I'd probably go to Provo, now that I think about it, because then it'd be closer. And we'll put these people, they do live, and maybe they live in, across the border from Kanab, what is it? Fredonia. Right. In Fredonia, so they're going to be living in Fredonia. They're going to go to Provo to rob a bank. And they get away with it. If I put them there, though, if I have them growing up in Fredonia, that will also decrease the amount of likelihood that there'd be LDS. At least from my memory of Fredonia. The church wasn't as prevalent, even in Kanab, but I'm sure Kanab was more dense with LDS than Fredonia. But I was many summers, memory fades. But of the things you can notice, especially growing up in northern Utah, is the density of Mormons, at least in the 80 and 90 or LDS. So if I did put it there'd be a high chance they would be, but I don't want religion necessarily to come into this story. See, now I'm just pulling random thoughts in my mind. I guess this the stochastic part of it is you're going to go to basic set of outcomes you want. How you get there and what happens afterwards is what starts to normalize and then happen. Whatever the fuck that means. All right. Chapter 1. First person. Chapter 1 would be them robbing the bank. We robbed a bank. I don't want to say we robbed a bank. And like chapter 2, we robbed. Let's make this. Oh shoot! Snap. Maybe I should make it about they're gonna go rob. They're gonna. Why would that? I don't know much. Like I want them to rob Salt Lake City, the temple somehow, but I don't like that's a cash drop, right? I mean, and if I were to make this in the modern present day, like everything's so digital. Like, why would you risk? But like maybe that's just it. I mean, that would be for me, the excitement of a book. It's not really exciting showing someone hack crypto, but if you're going to steal something and not have to worry about getting killed or shot or tracked in this day and age of technology that tracks anything, and I'm robbing a bank and I'm in Salt Lake City, which, I mean, honestly, you could probably get away there. And that's why they target it, and they're arrogant enough. They don't want to leave a digital trail because that's fingerprints, but they think they can, and they do. They successfully do it. So You could put the scene of like them feeling guilty with the money they won. They're gonna pay for some. You gotta do something moral with it, right? So like chapter, what the money did. We robbed a bank. And then chapter 2 is we got away with it. What time is it? I got an hour and 15 minutes. I think again, we got away with it. No, they would not be doing. We laundered the money. I guess that'd be like how they laundered it. Okay, we got away with it. We laundered the money. And I guess what's the stages of um cuz like you always see I suppose most heist movies happen end with the end of the heist, not don't begin that way. And if they begin with the heist, it's usually for that heist to fail so they could have a successful heist at the end. And if the heist does begin, it usually ends in the chase of getting caught, maybe. Depends on how it's like the first act. If you're going to have like a 3-act. I don't want to do this whole, yeah. So chapter 4, I don't think I need to know about it. What could they pay for that would be, I think, relevant and touch everyone's soul? And then I can write this. At least try to. We helped pay. We got away with it. We laundered the money. We helped pay. And I do need to do past tense. Let me just go double check. It's first person. And the tense is past tense. It's crime. This is certainly a crime. There's 2 characters. The 2 robbers are the main protagonists. I should say two primary protagonists. Although if you had primary characters, then it can be like an antagonist and protagonist, so you can mix up the things. And maybe technically this person's the protagonist and the antagonist is the other person that doesn't want to like turn themselves in and is not morally has no morals. And this will take place in Fredonia, which city of Fredonia, it's kind of towny to me. Sorry, Fredonia, but I love you. I'm not sorry. Great Desertscape. I always like going there. Something about the southern Utah desert, northern Arizona desert, that seems to bring some sort of peace to mind when you're standing in it. That said, that's where this is going to be. Person versus self. And they're going to go to Salt Lake City. So the primary part will... let's just start. I got to think of the other character. The other character is going to be a dude. Or it could be a couple, right? I mean, I'm going to definitely pair bond. I don't want a pair bond. I want this to be buddy to buddy, because if they pair bond, ooh, no. Well, then you could have that chapter if they're like pair bonding and marriage is legal for them. They're not married during the robbery. They married before it. Ooh. I want to do the classic pair bonding too. Because they're going to shave her head and make her look like a male. And that way, they're going to be looking for two men and not a woman and a man. And they're definitely going to use every sort of means to hide it. But then instantly change once you're done because they'll, not have the right gender. And they get married beforehand. I mean, that's automatically like a conflict set up. So let's do that. Let's do your classic pair bonding situation, which is male female. Then it would be kind of like your Bonnie and Clyde, but they get away. Yeah, I mean there's been all sorts of versions of pair bonding and pals and people robbing banks and having internal conflict. Usually about if they want to go the distance of like murdering a thing to hide the trail versus just trying to use their wits and brains. For this though, I don't know. Like I haven't written a word except for the chapters to write to, but at least I have an idea. We launder the money. We help pay for her mom's. Mom's what? Liver transplant. That way there's like a real cost, not too ridiculously high. I believe with a liver transplant, if you get someone's liver that is, you can actually, you still need to take the immunosuppressants. But from what I heard, it grows back, even if a small piece of liver. Something I'd look up if I wanted the time. If I had the time, I don't. So let's just do chapter 1. We robbed a bank vault, Salt Lake City. Name, Jill. I've known Jills. Knew Jills when I was living in Utah. So Jill. Now I'm thinking of the Jill I know. One of the first people I ever read something I'd wrote in a book called Tenure and Nod. I will forever remember her criticisms. And the fact that if she still has that book, it's like, I don't even think I have a digital copy of that. Anyway, memories of Jill. Anyway, this Jill grew up in Kanab. Met someone in Fredonia. And the person that lives in Fredonia is the first person, which would be easy for me to write because I could play the cis male macho dude that wants to bring a gun, but Jill says don't bring a gun. Jill said 2 things before we robbed the bank. No guns. And we get married. And we get married before we... Jill's going to be the smart one. She's going to be the leader. And I guess if we were using I'm not calling it scientific facts because the whole alpha, beta, zeta labeling of a person in a group of people because they have certain attributes that society has deemed indicators of leadership, when a lot of times it could just lead to indicators of insecurity, and how to manipulate that insecurity. Therefore, they're weaker and not really alpha. So I don't want to use that for Jill in the description of her. She's just the leader. All right, Jill. Jill said two things before we started playing. Man, this is just like no guns. No guns, Stan. What's my name? Stan. I just said Stan. I don't know where that came from. I really don't mean you know. I don't think I've ever known a Stan. No, I mean maybe. But I remember if someone introduced themselves as Stan. I think. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I have, and maybe I have met a Stan and I just don't remember. And I can't remember if I don't remember. So no guns, Stan. And we need to get married. And we're getting married before we rob the bank. No guns. So Stan listens. Just no guns. Like, now I got to write a chapter on how they're going to plan the bank robbery. But that's my world, and I got an hour, and that's all I need to do. Like, I can make how shitty the security is, and then right away into it. Maybe I can. I'm getting a little cocky and arrogant here. I've never planned on robbing a bank, so I don't have like that practice of writing how to rob a bank. No guns, Stan. And we're getting married. And we're getting married before we rob the bank. No guns, Stan. We're getting married before we rob the bank. We got married that day. She wore white jeans. And a white blouse. White blouse. Letter dressing. Cause I gotta have like defining female traits, nipples, like, and butt. And we gotta like, this dude's godsmacked by the one he married. Do I want to drop the ing? I think so. Because that's how I would talk. We started planning. We should plan it. We're going to plan it? Are we going to do any planning? Our trunk, but she wore white jeans shaping her apple bottom. Everyone's got a breast crack and nipples poke. I think that's where the mind's got to go on this story. just gotta have the breast breathe. No matter the size. What? I should at least give a paragraph to the marriage. And then the planning. It will inquire some computer coding, which she does. And I don't think Jill necessarily is. She's just morally fine with it. What he's going to have. But that's like that trope of, no, it's not. It's just the way people can be. No matter the gender. We got married that day. She wore white jeans, shaping her apple bottom, and a white blouse, spreading her breast, letting, bread, letting. I should probably put a comma there. I wore. Should I have Sunday best? Maybe he's from Kanab and she's from Fredonia. And she hates. I don't know that dynamic. I mean, I have to, right? Like, that's one of the things that I'd write about in other chapters. But then I'd have to dive into like character reasoning and why and so many things that I don't want to think about right now in this next 58 minutes. But I need to get a justification why they're getting married. I guess they like, cause has to be some endearing quality about this narrator, the first person, the person I'm trying to channel and create right now, and I'm not seeing it. Why did they meet? They want their own ranch, maybe. They want to ranch horses and use them for like tourism. And that's what they do afterwards. So they have a plan for the money. They have a plan for the money, and they can find a way to be able to launder it through yeah. They'll both have their own smarts. She just happens to be leading in this, where he would say, probably around this area would, I don't know. We got married that day. She wore white jeans, shaping her apple bottom, and a white blouse spread. Okay. We got married that day. Where did they get married that day? They got married that day at the courthouse. What is he gonna wear? How old are they? Let's say they're 20s. Maybe they're young. Yeah. They're young. Like 19. And they get married. We got married that day at the courthouse. She wore white jeans shaping her apple bottom and a white blouse, letting her breasts breathe and nipples poke. I wore my... So someone's of religion, maybe? No. Maybe. I feel like my slacks... Years back, hoping, I'd wear on my mission. We do want to capitalize it. He's going to be in Kanab. What courthouse? Fredonia. Fredonia. That's how I'm going to spell it right now. We got married that day in Fredonia, the Fredonia courthouse. She wore white jeans shaping apple bottom and white blouse, letting her breasts breathe and nipples poke. I wore my slacks and jacket Mom bought me for the church a few years back. And when she was hoping I'd wear on a mission for the church. Laying in bed. I get in bed, trying to cool in the dry heat. It just sticks everywhere. That time of summer. Maybe there's a voice there. It feels flat. I don't know. Excuse me. But I'll at least write to it. So my thinking is it's to him. Jill talked about getting some money for a horse ranch. Maybe it's also like a retirement place. I put him to pasture. But what would be the profit in that other than someone having a kind heart wanting to like pay for their old horse they can't ride anymore? But if it's your old horse, you probably keep it yourself. I don't know though. I've never owned a horse. I fed horses. I got paid $15 a week to feed horses once. Well, when you were young, that was a lot of money. Pour 2 cups of grain, 1 for each horse, break the ice during the winter, fill up the water tub with the hose, spraying through the fence, open a new bale of hay, throw half of it into the bin. If you miss a little, that's okay. Every day. When Jill talked some money for a horse ranch, so I fed horses before, but never owned it. So I don't know what one really does. I've read stories. I feel like you either put them down or let them send them to pasture. Pasture. When Jill talked about getting some money for a horse ranch, horses and keep horses and do trail rides. Okay, I can see this. The narrator is kind of poor of structure. I would say they're rich of character. Maybe they're poor financially, but I was thinking more my in my first person narrator is I don't know. I don't mind the words. Rambler. New rides of trains. Money, said Jill. She knew I'd say. What's that plan again? I think I'm just going to jump to the robbery. I'm not going to do like... I'm going to just... Yeah. That's it. I got 48 minutes to rob a bank. Fudge. I've never wrote a bank robbery scene. And she'd tell me. And we got all excited. Walking about. We stayed in that hotel. Few days planning, having sex. And planning. Talking about how to hide the money. We train. We gave ourselves too much training. What? How they robbing the... Okay, so let's just skip to the bank robbery. Because that's what I got. That's the hard part. I got set up. Got the place. They're in Salt Lake City. I think it was in Salt Lake City. Zion National Bank. That's right. The statue of Joseph Smith. Who's we dressed as missionaries. We bought our supplies and rode. We even went to took a bus. No, they wouldn't take a bus. Drove to Salt Lake City. Salt Lake a couple times. Paying cash for gas. And we earned in the kitchen and waiting tables. And Jill waiting tables it. All right, so we at least have where they're working, how they're getting some money. We even drove Salt Lake City a couple times and cash for gas. And I'm not going to drive. We're not going to rent a car. We're just going to walk the route. We ran the route to escape through canyon. There. And then 6 months after being married. Would this be the winter? Oh, yeah. Winter, when a snowstorm. We drove to go rob a bank. Okay. I have regrets. Why didn't we get caught? Did we deserve to get caught? All right, so there's the self-doubt, chapter 6. So we got to rob a bank during the winter time. How would they get their IDs though, right? You're going to have your card. We slept in the car. Where would they sleep in a car? Sandy. At Walmart in Sandy. And they're going to drive and escape on foot. During the winter. And it's terrible. Would I like to... Waiting for the snow. Yeah, yes. That's what I want. I want this, but I want it up here. We slept in a Walmart parking lot. I got to show how it didn't work the first time. It's like the third time they do this. In Sandy. Waiting for the snow. I got 39 minutes. The blizzard. But only flurries. And cloudy sky. Filter day. We slept. We slept in the Walmart parking lot. We slept in the Walmart parking lot. We slept in the Walmart parking lot in Sandy, waiting for the blizzard, but only flurries and sky filled that day. It took 2 more drives and hundreds in gas to finally in mid-December, in mid-January, the blizzard came. We parked the car. Excuse me for the burp, but I had to go. Oatmeal and coffee, it happens. We parked the car up on a hill. Up on a hill. Man. We parked the car up on a hill. to Main Street. How would they, like, usually it's timing though, right? That's the trouble with the snow thing. Like, how is the blizzard will help them get away, but man, with 35 minutes left, I don't think I have a story. At least how to rob, I don't know how to rob a bank. The snow was merely, that was stupid. Like, you got to have a timing. It took a year. Let's say it took a year because it had to be the right time. Maybe the winter conference. I don't know if there's a winter conference. We'll say donations pour in during the winter conference. Is there? That's something I'm just gonna make up. Oh shoot! My entire robbery scene. I was gonna have it wanted to be in the blizzard, but you can't time a robbery off a natural event unless you've got a sure thing in. And as long as it's at night, right? How would she have a sure thing in? Her dad used to work for the MTC and still had his universal pass. But if it's her, she stole. But then what if it didn't work? Then they just drop it and go. After a year. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the end. The bank vault thing, though. Like, what are you gonna go get cash? You're gonna have to open the vault. That makes no sense. So it goes back to the digital crimes then. And I wish I knew how to rob a bank. It makes the story a lot better. I think I got a good background. I think I got decent characters. I just got to get them into the bank easily and make it so that she bought it off the internet. That's it. They just want the snow to be able to cover their tracks. But there will literally be tracks in the snow. But if it's a blizzard, it doesn't matter. It'll wipe it out. And the low visibility will prevent helicopters from being launched and block all the other types of visions. And while you can have these trucks with chains or studded tires patrolling the streets, you definitely decrease the amount. So she's just going to hack it. That's what it's going to be. It's like the modern day thing. On the main street. And a lot of the snow hit our tracks. And the wind slapped our backs. Covered head to toe. Still got cold. Maybe that's it. I'm going to say they have a computer room with access. Yeah. Again, if you could break in and get a key code to get into the place, I mean, you still have to convince them to push it over. Maybe that's it. Maybe they got to put a virus on the computer. You act like you stole something. They're likely, I would, maybe not though, I would assume that you'd be able to automatically pick up that drive though. Much like ours. I followed Jill to the back door, where she swiped a card through the reader. The door opened. The code she bought. The code we bought. The code she found on the internet, on the dark web. Where there was still security. We bought cameras, those blinded. And fuzzed by some laser saying she bought. A year ago, California, with cash. We do security. Send someone to check. I got 27 minutes. This might be a chapter, maybe not. We plan security to check some we bought the security logs of the past year and their nighttime checks remain consistent, and the two instances of alerting showed the response that we had. The narrator of this is now shifted to me writing fast and just trying to push the words. Like I just, about 2 minutes. Alerting. I guess you not do I and all of them. They only drop it on to the alerting. Show that we had about 3 minutes. 3 minutes for me to go to the vault and play around with it. And press buttons on the key code. After standing there for 2 minutes. standing there for 2 minutes. For a couple minutes. The alarm sounded. After I pressed it too many times, after hitting I dropped a clean, empowered, splicing tool and ran. I got to the door and into the blizzard fast. Started running back to the car, hoping I'd see Jill there. I was tired. I'm hot and sweating. Breathing steam in the cold car, covered with snow. I slowly closed the door, letting the snow stick. And pulled a blanket over me. Waiting for Jill. Thinking of Jill. Sometime around early morning, about an hour later, when about to do something Jill told me not to do, like get out and go look for her, she opened the door. She sat in the car and slowly closed the door and smiled. I got it. I downloaded the virus into the machines. I got the signal. That would be it. Why not? Like chapter 2 is. We waited around 10 that morning when traffic hit. Slowly make our way. Oh, did I say Provo, didn't I? I want to go Salt Lake City. Make our way from Salt Lake to Provo to Nephi to Cedar City. Cedar City. We listened to a news report about a robbery, an attempted robbery. We heard that would be it. That'd be chapter 2. It's not bad. Let's see. So did I get it? Present, yeah, sure. Location, towns can all take place in Fredonia. Person versus self. This person's got to decide whether they want to take the stolen cash or not. Quantity primary characters 2. Yeah. Jill and I. Point of view first. I think so. Past tense, got it. Crime, genre, yes. Novel first chapter. I feel like I actually met some sort of requirements. I'm not going to write a blurb because I wrote a chapter. All right, I have 19 minutes left. I'm going to read this so I can write on through the day. And this is what I'm going to read. I need a name of the book. Getting Away with It. That's the name of the book. Chapter 1. So for today's stochastic fiction game story, we have Chapter 1, called We Robbed a Bank Vault in Salt Lake City. The name of the book is Getting Away with It. This is Chapter 1. We robbed a bank vault in Salt Lake City. We robbed a bank vault in Salt Lake City. Jill said 2 things before we started to plan. Oof. Let's go ahead and start over again with We robbed a bank vault in Salt Lake City. Jill said 2 things before we started planning the bank robbery. No guns, Stan, and we're getting married before we rob the bank. We got married that day at the Fredonia courthouse. She wore white jeans, shaping her apple bottom and white blouse, letting her breasts breathe and nipples poke. I wore my slacks and jacket Mom bought me for the church a few years back, and one she was hoping I'd wear on a mission for the church. My mission was to say yes and get in on with Jill in the hotel room we got before our honeymoon and the place we started planning the robbery. We were laying naked in bed trying to cool off in the dry heat, which was everywhere that time of summer, when Jill talked about getting some money for a horse ranch to pasture old horses and keep horses and do some trail rides for tourists on the old 2-mile ranch. It cost money, said Jill, while her fingers swirled on my chest. She knew I'd say, "What's that plan again?" And she'd tell me. We got all excited talking about it. We stayed in that hotel in bed 2 days, planning, having sex, and talking about how to hide the money. We bought our supplies and trained. We even drove to Salt Lake a couple times, paying cash for gas that we earned with me in the kitchen and Jill waiting tables at beehives. We ran the route of escape through the canyon 6 months after marriage. During the winter, and when the snowstorm predicted to hit the Salt Lake Valley, we drove to rob the bank vault. We slept in the Walmart parking lot in Sandy, waiting for the blizzard, but only flurries and a cloudy sky filled the day. It took 2 more drives and hundreds in gas to mid-July for the blizzard to come. We parked the car up on the hill near a hiking trail, Salt Lake City. where we disabled the camera the last time we drove here and walked around. The snow piled on the car while we walked in the blinding snow and gusting wind down the slope to Main Street and Church Street, while the snow hit our tracks and the wind slapped her back. Covered head to toe, still got cold by the time we reached the block of the bank. There was a in Salt Lake City Zion National Bank, the statue of Joseph Smith, whose outreached hand had a hand to the bank like ours. I followed Jill to the back door of the bank, where she swiped the card through a reader. The door opened. The code she'd found on the dark web and the card machine she bought worked. There's still security cameras, but those are blinded and fuzzed by some laser thing she bought a year ago in California with cash. We also bought security logs the past year, and the nighttime checks remained consistent, and the 2 instances of alertance showed that we had about 3 minutes. 3 minutes for me to go to the vault, press buttons on the key code after standing there for a couple minutes. The alarms would sound after hitting the pound key over and over. I dropped a clean, powered on splicing tool and ran. I got to the door and into the blizzard fast, started running back to the car, hoping to see Jill there. I was tired and sweating and breathing by the time I got the car covered in cold snow. I slowly closed the door, letting the snow stick, and pulled the blanket over. Waiting for Jill, thinking Jill. About an hour later, and when about I was going to do something Jill told me not to do, like go out and look for her, she opened the door. She sat in the car and slowly closed the door and smiled. She said, I downloaded the virus on the machines. I got access. That was today's Stochastic Fiction Game story. I mean, I must be feeling forgiving for myself. More so probably last time that I played this game, maybe. But I think that's a 4. I could go places with it. Like, I think editing and rewriting a little bit. Writing more, I suppose. Maybe not editing. Maybe a 3. We'll go 3. I did read aloud all the story elements, and I believe I've hit the story elements. So for this stochastic fiction game, for it today, it is done. I am going to save the version of this file. Write a story. I should probably add it first, right? Yeah, let's add it first. We'll add it, and then we'll write a journal. Write to create a story. With the stochastic fiction outline. This outline. Rate it a 3. Lots of characters still needed. Publish to save the state. And I do have the transcript going still, capturing the words said. That will be also saved in the same repository to be able to, well, write more and know where these words are at someday if I ever want to come back to them and what state they were last in, because I'll forget them likely. As many things are forgotten during life, but I guess this game allows me to remember some of the great memories I've had, and the people I've met, and the places I've seen. And so I'm going to try to take that thought throughout the day, and hopefully it'll sometimes turn my jaded emotions into something a little bit more positive when I think of them. Until that next time of writing, maybe creating a world that's not so, well, controlling. Find a way to create.